Have you been performing so long you don't even know who you are anymore? You've held it together, adapted, survived, but somewhere along the way, you lost your sense of self. What if your healing doesn't come from trying harder, but from rekindling that fire that got snuffed out when the world told you to hide? This coaching program is designed to help you stop patching symptoms and start rebuilding identity. You'll reconnect to your voice, your values, and your real inner strength. It's always been there. Now, I just want you to ask yourself, what would it feel like to wake up proud of who you are again? Let's find out together. Schedule your discovery call today at youradhdguy.com. Aren't you worth it?
So it's not about going into real life and being a different person, because of course that could be masking, but it's
Yeah.
about taking the essence of improv into everyday life. And it's honestly it's an amazing thing to witness, people growing in confidence, speaking up for themselves.
This is Don't Mind Me, I Just Have ADHD. But let's be real. ADHD doesn't just mean forgetfulness or fidgeting. It's meant being labeled, masking, performing just to survive in a system that wasn't designed with us in mind. The podcast isn't about fixing you. It's about unlearning the shame you were handed down. Here we talk about ADHD, trauma, addiction, depression, healing, identity, all the messy things that make us human in our life and work. And we do it with fierce kindness. I'm Ron Sowers, your ADHD guy. And if you've ever felt like you had to earn your worth, if you ever struggled to slow down, speak up, or show up without a mask, welcome. You're not too much. You were never broken. And now you're waking up. Let's remember who we are together. What if the key to thriving with ADHD wasn't hiding your quirks, but celebrating them? In today's episode, I'm joined by the bold, brilliant, and hilariously insightful Suzi Payton, a stand-up comic, ADHD coach, educator, and all-around neurodivergent rebel with a cause. Wow, what a mix. From the classroom to the comedy stage, Suzi has turned her lived experience with AuDHD, burnout, and big dreams into a transformational approach to healing confidence and laughter. We talk about the power of improv, the battle between chaos and craving order, and how that not only led to the discovery of her neurodivergence, giving her a new language and a calling. Whether you're neurodivergent, navigating burnout, or just tired of pretending to be someone you're not, this episode is your permission slip to start playing again and maybe even laugh while doing it. Stick around to the end. We'll also talk about her latest book, Lost and Found, her group coaching program called Unshakable Foundations, and why your ADHD brain might just need a little more comedy. And I got a special gift for you. So don't turn that dial. Hey there, guys. This is Ron, and I'm here with Suzi Payton. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Definitely honored that you wanted to join us here. So, Susie, your journey is packed with so many creative twists, like improv, education, late diagnosis, coaching, you name it. What was the turning point where everything started to click into place for you?
I would say it all clicked into place quite strangely during the pandemic when I wasn't teaching, but I was working for a charity, the YMCA, and that was absolutely great. I was coaching young people who were in
Oh,
supported
wow.
housing. Yeah, and it was absolutely lovely. I was there for about 2 years. That was my transition out of teaching, out of formal teaching. And the pandemic came, and I was fortunate enough to be furloughed. So um,
Yeah.
I wasn't able to work, and I was paid. So I got thinking, well, what can I do with my time? I wanted to learn Greek. I wanted to do courses, and then
Wow.
I remembered that I'd started a life coaching course 8 years previously and hadn't finished it in true ADHD style. So I got back in touch with the provider, the coaching academy, yeah, and they said, "Yep, you can carry on where you left off. You have to do a refresher training." And so I had practice clients. I was studying, and that
Hmm.
was the moment at that time, I thought this is what I want to be doing, working from home, coaching people one to one on my own terms. So that was when my business started, the idea started, and then I was made redundant. I took voluntary redundancy, and then that was it. I started the business, and I was coaching, doing online improv during the pandemic, teaching people how to do comedy improv, which was lovely and funny and amazing. And I was,
Yeah.
yeah, training and speaking, so public speaker. So that 5 years ago, it all turned for me.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot to still like unpack there. You are diagnosed with, if I remember correctly, autism and ADHD. How did that how does that work, and how did you come to find out about that?
That was probably about 15 years ago when I was teaching, and
Hmm.
I love teaching. I could deliver outstanding lessons. I wanted to make lessons fun and
Yeah.
interactive, not
Hmm.
boring old lessons like I unfortunately had to endure at school. Um, yeah, so I was kind of in ahead of my time in that way. And I just put the pieces together, and I kind of knew I had ADHD. And then the more I found out about autism, I was like, actually, it's not what we think it is. All of those
Yeah.
stereotypes still preventing so many people
Yeah.
even considering that they could be autistic. And so yeah, I put a dossier together. I put a file together, a massive A4 file, study on myself, and then went to be assessed. And yeah, here I am, kind of 13 years later. So I spent 5 years researching and making notes and things, and then officially diagnosed. So about 13 years ago, I think it was.
So what led to that diagnosis? Like, did you just notice difficulties with teaching or?
Yeah, so teaching was okay, but it was the constant burnouts, the constant changing of jobs after like 1 or 2 years, either through boredom or through not feeling supported. And of course, I didn't know what my needs were, so it was hard for me to
Yeah.
advocate for myself. So the planning was always a real struggle.
Yeah.
The meetings, all of the admin side of things, I really struggled with. And naively, I thought one day I'll get the hang of this. And I had that thought for 17 years, and
Wow.
I didn't get the hang of it. And it crushed me because I felt a lot of shame around the things that I couldn't do, and I was focusing on why can't I just um, get it together, And so that was from a work point of view. My house, I had a house, and that was always a mess, even though I really wanted it to be tidy. So with being autistic, I really crave and need order.
Yeah.
And being ADHD at the same time, it's really hard for me to get any sense of order. So life
Yeah.
was pretty chaotic back then. I was in £20,000 worth of debt,
Wow.
using credit cards, loans, just not, like I said, I was very chaotic, didn't have um, a great money mindset, and also I didn't have the skills to budget. That all passed me by because I have difficulty with mathematical concepts as well. So there, and I was, as a result of that, very depressed, very anxious, been anxious my whole life. And I just thought something's going on here, because I'm so good at, so there's things I'm really good at, and then things that I really struggle with, everyday things. So that real spiky profile. So that's what led
Yeah.
me to inquire, to look up, and to come to that realization.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like everything else, if we could do everything else but the planning and all that, like talking with people and setting up meetings and going to another boring meeting, like
Oh,
that could have been just like an email, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's I find that, difficult in my life is like, yeah, I want to do all the fun stuff, but that's not part of like creating that's not part of life, unfortunately. So how did you find that, like that balance once you understood that?
Yeah, so that was a real turning point as well, because then I could learn and understand more about why my brain is the way it was, the way it was, is the way
Hmm.
it is. And then I could, practice self-kindness and compassion, and know
Yeah.
that, and recognize that I wasn't lazy. There were real reasons for my struggles, and with that comes a lot of self forgiveness and acceptance. So that was when my acceptance journey started, and it's still ongoing, because of course there's so many layers to peel back. um
Yeah.
but yeah, the understanding is life changing, and knowing and not being held back. I don't ever think, oh, I've got ADHD, I can't do. You'll never hear those words coming out of my mouth,
It's
you know,
good.
um, because I don't think that's helpful. I mean, let's obviously being realistic about what I can and cannot achieve,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't use those words. I've got ADHD, I can't. That's just not in my vocabulary.
Yeah,
Um,
those things don't go
yeah,
together for you.
no, it's just not helpful, because if I said that, my brain would be like, okay, then we can't do this. And then that's it, you know?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, the understanding has been absolutely life changing.
Yeah, and with you said with acceptance and forgiveness being like huge, especially with the shame spiral that we often continue, is people just don't understand. Normal people don't understand how powerful, once you get going along that spiral, it just keeps going and going. And that acceptance is incredibly, was incredibly powerful for me, but like it took me a long time to get there, to
Mm,
fully accept and embrace that, this is me going forward. It's not going to change. So let me work with it and see how I can how I can benefit from that. And it's like when I understand like my limitations, and people don't want to put limitations on themselves because it's like we want to be able to do everything.
mm,
But honestly, when I put those limitations on myself, like that's when things like I was able to focus on my strengths and actually be able to become a stronger, better version of myself. And that
mm.
forgiveness too is like something I know, like I've struggled with a lot, and a lot of people with ADHD and autism have. What have you done to like really help with that process of
With the
forgiveness?
forgiveness, yeah. So like, really focus on what I'm good at, get support with the things that I'm challenged with. You know,
Hmm.
I've had coaching for the last about 4 years to help me um, with the practical side of things as well, like getting organized, but also with my mindset and
Yeah.
and really celebrating who I am, everything that I've been through. The school system, which was very hard. That's where my self-esteem got really battered because I was clever, but I didn't think I was. I didn't know I was clever because
Yeah.
all I felt was a failure at school. So that's not, that's not good, and that's still
Yeah.
happening now, unfortunately, because of the way the Western society is set up to have people sitting at desks, you know,
Yeah.
being quiet, looking ahead, and not fidgeting. I mean, movement is it's so needed.
Yeah.
It's a human thing, So um, a lot of healing around, because I was quite angry. Why didn't school realize that I couldn't learn?
Hmm.
That, maths, I was always in the bottom set, never
Yeah.
taught maths properly. So I thought I was rubbish at maths. So I had all that anger around why didn't they know? But now I moved through that because, and realized that they just didn't know back then. They don't know what they know now.
Yeah.
And there's no point in staying stuck in the past. I mean, of course, if you are stuck in the past emotionally, then get support through coaching, through therapy, whatever you need. But I've had, yeah, my journey has been a really real healing journey. Lots of
Yeah.
journaling, lots of taking care of myself, like making a
It's
real
awesome.
effort to exercise and move and eat. And I stopped drinking alcohol a year and a
Wow.
half ago, which has been
Congratulations.
revelationary. Thank you. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's huge. It's like it seems like it's helping, but it's actually the benefits just um the drawbacks far outweigh any type of benefits that you're going to get. It affects so many different things like sleep and your mood and how you show up the next day and for even days. And yeah, it's like you were talking about struggling in those systems. And it's the systems and the environment that really make a huge difference when it comes to, you know, people with, that are neurodivergent. It's huge. And that movement. Like I feel like I learn better when I've got space to move around or
mm,
I've got time to take breaks, having those like free form moments because like I know I get probably a lot more done in like 45 minutes than most people get done in a day, but then I get burnt out if I'm
mm,
continuing, if I don't have those breaks in there, and one thing that, you talked about earlier was that comedy, and that's one of, and that's super creative. You have a lot of like, and the way that you were talking about your classrooms being, you wanted to teach in a way that was not, stuffy and boring. And, that takes a lot of creativity and love of learning on how to be able to teach that. And so what have you learned from like combining those two, like comedy and, I guess like reforming the lessons?
yeah. So now I use comedy. I offer it as part of my coaching sessions. So I offer
Yeah.
one-to-one coaching for ADHD and autistic adults to build confidence, to ditch the self-doubt, to kind of manage the inner critic and make friends with it because it's there to help us, but
Yeah.
it does get in the way. And I do that through intention setting, goal setting, like what the client wants, obviously not I don't tell them what their goals are. And then
Hmm.
we mix it up with comedy improv. I teach them the basic skills and the basic rules, which are listen, accept, and commit, or listen, say yes, and commit. And we do silly scenes,
Yeah.
together, which inspire creativity. It's mindful because, of course, you're so focused on the scene that you're not worrying about what you're doing later or worrying about what you said to that person yesterday. Did
Hmm.
it come across as wrong? Because you're in the moment. And so it's not only is it fun, but it's really transferable as well. So if we're doing a scene where my client is acting extra confident, they're playing a
Yeah.
character. So I'm making it fairly challenging for them, but their role is to be confident. And then we discuss, how did that feel? And it's like, yeah, that was all right, and you can see their body their
Hmm.
body up and upright. And then I say, so how can you transfer that into your everyday life? And they're like, wow, I can think back to this and how it felt to be confident. And it's a sometimes seamless transference of skills. You don't even have to think about it too much because you've done it, you've played the confident character. It naturally transfers into real life. And then if you get
Wow.
intentional with it, then it's like, yeah, I am this confidence person and I'm going to embody this. And, it's not about going into real life and being a different person, because of course that that could be masking, but it's
Yeah.
about taking the essence of improv into everyday life. And it's honestly it's an amazing thing to witness people growing in confidence, speaking up for themselves. And yeah, I'm really pleased I put those two things together because it's great.
No, that's awesome, and it shows even another level of creativity with being able to combine these things and like critical thinking as well. And I've always, my experience with improv and like being able to improv is such a a huge skill set that applies to not just anybody acting but actually real life, and it actually, what you're describing is tapping into their own character strengths that are just there, but they may need like a bit of help to access them. So it's huge. Like it's about showing up in a fun way to like recognize, hey, let's try this.
Mm.
So those happen within the sessions.
Yeah, yeah. So we do the improv, excuse me, within the one-to-one coaching sessions, and I also deliver online improv sessions and in person in Brighton where I live. Um,
Okay.
and then people, excuse me, I've got tics, and my throat clearing tic always appears during an interview.
Of
Um, it's really
course.
annoying. And then I've created an event, a comedy and talks by neurodivergent people, and people
Hmm.
that come to the improv are offered, they don't have to do it, the chance to perform at my event as well. So not only are they experiencing confidence within, but extra confidence for performing to a wonderfully supportive crowd as well. So yeah, I just want people to access their confidence because I know how much it's helped me. I didn't used to be confident at all. I was very
Yeah.
shy and didn't speak up. And now I'm a different person because of all of this.
No, and confidence is huge, and being able to advocate for yourself is very important, especially when most people don't know what's going on. With a they don't think that, it's like everyone's normal and everyone thinks the same. It's
Mm,
not true. Like that is very far from the truth. And being able to, and that's what I coach is like how to be more pro-social, how to talk to people, how to have that confidence to speak up and talking to a stranger. is
Mm.
like, it takes a lot of confidence. You have to go through that fear,
Yeah.
that initial fear that like, oh, well, they may not talk to me or they may think I'm weird, like coming up
Mm.
to them and, they, like it's all these crazy things that go on in your head, like that'll happen that usually, yeah, they may not say, they want to talk to you. They may be like, not today. But that's the
Yeah.
worst they're gonna do. They're not gonna make fun of you. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
this life and death situation that we make it. So it's like it's huge, like, that you're able to connect with that in comedy. So you also are like, you know, a stand-up comic as well.
Yeah, so I started similar time about 15 years ago doing stand-up comedy. Well, I started doing an improv course. That's how I discovered comedy improv. Absolutely loved it. And then there were quite a few stand-up comedians on the course. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, I'll give that a try. So I went and did a stand-up course and did my first gig, and then I was hooked and writing material like crazy, like such a hyper focus for about 3 years. I was on the circuit, um, like a couple of times a week gigging, and yeah, then I took about a 10-year break from stand up, and then about 5 years ago when this my business was born, I a couple of years in, I thought, let's give stand up a go again. And
Yeah,
I felt completely different this time because I was far more confident, I was less scattered, I was a bit more focused. And then now I combine the comedy with the motivational speaking. So I go to conferences and educate about autism and ADHD whilst weaving in some stand-up comedy as well. Some of my storytelling
yeah.
is yeah, and it goes down really well because people are laughing, they're learning, and I'm helping people at the same time. It's a dream.
That's awesome that you're able, and it makes sense because people want to be able to laugh, and that's a strength.
Yeah.
To humor is a strength. So it's like, can you share a moment from the stage or a workshop when comedy unexpectedly unlocked something deep for you or somebody else?
Um, I think I can't think of a specific moment in time, but just seeing people like at this big conference I was at, and it's not all fun and laughter because I am educating as well. I am very clear on the challenges as well. I don't kind of brush over them. But when I was telling one of my stories, this person in the second row, she was actually crying with laughter and her makeup was all down
Wow.
her face. And she came to me afterwards. She was like, "Oh my God, that was so funny. Everything you were saying, it was just like me." And she's like, "Thank you so much." And I was just like, "Oh, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Those things that, you can really connect with are
mm,
the most funny, especially
yeah,
when you can kind of poke fun at it, because it's like we're we as I know for me, my life has just been so serious and putting on the mask and
mm,
try, it's like very few days are good and happy and when you can when you can inject that levity into it, it's powerful.
yeah." Yeah, definitely. Humor is so powerful. And I read somewhere that when you're learning and laughing, the neurons in your brain connect quicker as well and faster. So, and which makes sense actually. That's why some people can have one improv session with me, go out into the real world. Well, the real world, it's all real. Um, it's not made up, is it? Um, my current client, after one session, he said he went into a shop and he thought to himself, I am going to look at the person serving and I'm going to speak to her. Normally he would just be like, pay and go. And he had a conversation with her and she responded, and it was just so lovely because I could tell how surprised he was but really proud that he'd done that as well.
Yeah. No, that's huge. So it's
Mm.
like, well, if somebody, wanted to be, struggle with, being humorous or funny or didn't see themselves in that way, what would be some tips for that
Yeah,
person?
I would say go and do an improv class or course, because what I say to people, because a lot of people think, oh, I'd like to do it, but I'm not funny, I'm not quick-witted. And the thing is, you don't have to be funny or quick-witted to do improv. In fact, pauses, when your brain's thinking of something to say, pauses are great. It's not a
Yeah,
case of, quick fire. That would just be too much. It's the pauses that make it. And you don't have to be a funny person. You're not doing stand up, you're working with somebody else and you're creating the comedy in the moment. And the fact is, it's so random, nobody knows what's coming next. That's what makes it funny. So you don't
yeah,
have to make funny remarks. And my pet hate is when people put puns into an improv. Like puns in stand up, okay, still a bit cringy, but when people do it in improv, it just feels too
yeah.
forced. It doesn't. I
It
personally
doesn't
don't
land.
like it. Yeah, some people might. That's fine. But the fact is, the more you're trying to be funny, you're out of the flow, out of the zone. And that's when your mind will then start
Hmm.
saying, "Oh my God, you haven't said anything funny." Oh, and then you've lost the whole flow. So it's just immersing yourself in the moment and listening to what the person says, and then you'll create some magic. But yeah, I just
Yeah,
say go and do an improv class. You will surprise yourself.
yeah. I'm gonna have to do one of those myself. I've been meaning to, so
Yeah.
that's
Well, I've got
awesome.
two online classes coming up in
Okay.
September. And obviously, depending on where people are in the world, time differences would be a factor. But I have got two coming up online. So, yeah, come
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, definitely. I'll I'll uh you'll have to send me more information about that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
So yeah, yeah, like I was thinking Dion Cole is great at, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's like got a lot of pauses and a lot of just like
Yeah,
facial expressions that really like push, or he stands in a particular way, and
yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just like that doesn't take a lot. You just got to kind of feel yourself out. That's cool.
Exactly. And be brave to do that. And it's so funny, as you've seen.
Yeah, it does take courage. So, congratulations on Lost and Found.
Thank
What
you.
inspired you and Kate Lane Toner to
That's
create this
right.
book?
So yeah, we met online. What's the book? We met online a few years ago,
Awesome.
and she came onto my podcast. Actually, that's how we first got to know each other, and we got on really well. And she had already written a book for the publisher, Jessica Kingsley Publishing. And one day she emailed and said, "Would you like to write a book with me?" And I said, "Yes,"
That's
because it's something I'd always wanted to do, but it's like one of those things, when do you ever get round to doing it? So I embraced it. I was like, yes, let's do it. And it's just a lovely, lovely book. The reviews have been amazing already, and it's for us
awesome.
to share out everything we've learned on our journeys with other people that are just realizing that they're autistic as well. And both Kate and myself are autistic and ADHD. So, um, if you're an
That's awesome.
ADHD person with autistic traits, then this book is also for those people as well. So very proud of it. It's lovely.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of books probably that have those two co-occurring symptoms coming together, and it's all like, how did that conversation come about? Like that she knew she was like, okay, I'm just gonna ask, or was there like a lead up to that?
No, I think it came for me, it came out of the blue. And she put in her her intro that she thought I would be a good person because I'm autistic, ADHD, Tourette's, and OCD, so multiply neurodivergent. She thought I would be a good person to
Hmm.
contribute to the book, and yeah, we both have a similar outlook. So yeah, I'm just very pleased that
She
it's all
just saw it.
happened. Yeah.
So, what role did writing play in your healing or integration process?
Yeah, it's very, very vulnerable, very personal, some of the stuff. And
Yeah,
it was quite healing writing it out. It's like a big journal, you
yeah,
know. And when I came to record it for Audible, so it's available on Audible as well, I went to a studio in London and read my half of the book. And that was quite, well, A, it was quite tricky reading for that amount, a whole day of reading, into a
yeah,
really sensitive microphone that any click, you know, that is not audible to the ear, the producer would say, there was a click in your mouth, you need to record that bit again. It was hard work. But
yeah. Especially
reading,
with the tick, right?
yeah, the throat clearing as well, and I had to keep drinking water. Um, to
Yeah, I'd
try and get rid
imagine.
of that. And then even though it was still water, it was making my chest like make a gurgling noise,
Hmm.
and that kept showing up on the microphone. So it was quite an experience. But what was really interesting also was I had shared my life story with the
Hmm.
producer in one day, and it was some of the stuff I've written was really hard to to write and to read, you know. So it was
Yeah,
quite healing in that respect as well, to see how far I've come and how important it is for me to help others.
that's awesome. And you talk about journaling and the power of like writing and also speaking it out. Like I know in my life, like the things that I've spoken about on my podcast and I recently actually did an episode with my mom, and it was where we
Yeah.
dug deep into the what it was like for her growing up, and the trauma that happened when I was growing up, and
Mm.
including her mother and her father. So it was really like kind of like a therapy session
Yeah.
on a podcast to open the doors of like so you can see what the trauma looks like. So I understand like and have felt that. Journaling is something that I've done, but I find it difficult to make time to do that. What is
Mm.
like journaling? What do you do to what is journaling done for you, and how do you intentionally make time for it?
So it was kind of quite on and off every now and then.
Yeah.
And then I think the more I focused on it, the more I knew how, focused on how much it helped me. We went to Cornwall on holiday in April, and the place was beautiful. And every morning, because I get up quite early, I I just started every morning. I've got angel oracle cards. So I pull three cards from the deck, and then I've got my journal, and I then make notes from the cards, the guidance from the angels, from the ascended masters, and let the writing happen. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long, but
Hmm.
I've been doing that since then every morning when I get up, unless I go for a swim, and then sometimes I don't.
And that's where the self-forgiveness comes in, right?
Yeah, rather than thinking, oh, I haven't done it today. Oh, I'm never going to
Oh, I'm
do
a
it
bad
again.
person.
Yeah,
It,
that's it. It's finished. I just give myself that grace and
yeah,
say, that's okay.
yeah,
I'll do it next time I feel like it.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just doesn't happen, a lot of the stuff that's really helped me is being like having gratitude and appreciation for the things that I've have done and like
Mm.
reframing like, oh, I have all these things to do today and no, I get to do all these things. It's something that's a powerful change,
Yeah.
in just that one word in
Do you know
perspective.
something that's really funny?
Yeah.
My to-do list is
Hmm.
not a to-do list, it's a get to-do list.
Oh, nice. I like
And
that.
you literally just said, I don't have to do these things, I get to do them.
That's
And that
awesome.
is, isn't that funny? That's something that I've been doing for a long time because it's so different then. Looking at this list could be like, oh, this list. But it's like, no, I get to do my Facebook event for my course. I get to do this. And that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Yeah.
Instead of having to, go through those ridiculous old school curriculums and agendas, you get to create your own and live the
Mm,
life that you'd rather have that can connect with people. So,
exactly.
you said, so you talk a lot about helping people with being unapologetically themselves, right? So what gets in the way for most people and how do you help them break through that?
I think what gets in the way is all the messages us neurodivergent folks have received throughout our lives. Whereas, you're not achieving well enough in school, or you're too chatty,
Hmm.
if only Susie would concentrate more, she'd get more done. Comments like that kind of have have been really detrimental.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
it's realizing that actually all of that conditioning is all about control. They just want you to sit and control and listen and be good. Um, and that's what the media perpetuates now. It's trying to get us to live in fear. So unlearning all of that stuff, all of that conditioning, and recognizing that our brains are not
yeah,
defective. They're different, and really owning that. And yes, I unintentionally offend people sometimes with my bluntness. um but am I going to sit at home worrying about that? No, because I didn't do it on purpose. Different if I intentionally set out to hurt people, which I don't.
yeah,
So coming back to myself and remembering my intentions, which are always good.
yeah,
And that's been the big game changer. Not thinking, oh, I'm a terrible person because I upset somebody because I didn't respond to their text. That just doesn't help anyone to think like that. So just thinking, actually, I did forget. I'll apologize. It's not an excuse, but ADHD is a real genuine reason for lots of things. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
being kind to yourself and compassionate to yourself is the key, I think.
Yeah, I definitely, totally agree with that because it's about learning how to be kind and, learning that kindness isn't weakness. It's actually, when it's done right, it's an incredible strength to be able to be kind to yourself and to somebody else in this kind of world with being neurodivergent in the system that's like designed to make you to try to manage you, but it actually ends up creating a lot more problems down the line. And you can't manage out behavior. You can't manage out the way people brains are just they're born with it, so it's incredible work that you're doing. I'm curious, how did you like begin your coaching? Like, how did you get your like, what was that journey to get your first client?
So I'd been unofficially coaching at the YMCA, and then I was
Okay.
furloughed, and then like I said, I finished the course, the life coaching course, and then just built it up from there. Social media is can be great for spreading the word that I'm now available for as a coach, and that's kind of how it's been.
So you got a lot of clients through like what, Facebook
Yeah, Facebook,
or in LinkedIn?
Instagram, yeah, LinkedIn, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I have a few coaching clients at a time. My main focus is on the public speaking and the comedy.
Okay.
And also now I'm combining the coaching in a group setting. So I've got an online course coming up in October, a 6-week course for neurodivergent folks, and it's called Unshakable Foundations,
Nice.
um, Confidence and Self-Esteem for Neurodivergent Rebels with a Cause.
I love it. So, yeah, unfortunately we can't talk all day and gotta wrap this up. But how would, my audience, if they like what you're hearing, connect with you?
So yeah, I'm on all social media platforms, Suzi Payton. So um find me there, find me at my website, it's www.suzipayton.com. And
Okay.
yeah, if you go to the website, then there's the online courses that are coming up. And you can have a look around there. And there's plenty of free resources as well. There's a resource page, and there's loads of free resources that I've made that are, yeah, one for helping with RSD. One there's a mini course on brain hacks, beliefs and getting stuff done. There's all sorts
Nice.
on there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And real quick, let's just do like a lightning round if you're down for it.
Okay.
A
Yeah, sure,
question.
go for it.
So, what's your superpower as an all ADHD creative?
I think it's the ability to create new concepts and also having the courage to put them out into the world, like the coaching and comedy
Yeah,
combination, and also the public speaking and comedy. Because most people are just comedians or just speakers. Well, I've broken that mold, and I'm both, and that's how I say it, So yeah, being brave and bold and trying new things.
yeah, you become your own thing.
Mm, yeah.
That's awesome. So, what's a stereotype you wish we could retire forever?
Um, oh gosh, there's so many, aren't there? So just I guess the for the ADHD one is that it's not, or most the stereotype is it's external hyperactivity, isn't it? And in fact, that's not true. Many people are externally and internally hyperactive, but many people are inattentive and don't display outward signs of hyperactivity. So don't dismiss people when they say,
Yeah.
I think I've got ADHD, and they're like, well, you're calm, you're quiet, you can't have ADHD. That's
No,
just
I know.
ridiculous. Yeah.
I know. It's like, trust me, I've grappled with that myself. Like,
Mm,
I got diagnosed and I was like, some days I'm like, was that even, do I even have this?
mm,
So what's
yeah.
one improv game every workplace should try?
Um, right, they should try. I think they should do, what would be funny? Oh, the alphabet game, because that's one that you could just take and do. So basically, you do it in pairs, and you create a scene. It's quite challenging. It's quite a tough one.
Yeah.
And each you have one line each, and each line has to begin with the next letter of the alphabet. So if I was in a scene with you, I might say, Arthur, will you just sit down? And you would then, your next line would begin with B. It might be like, but I can't sit still,
Hmm.
you know. And then I would say, come on, this is the way it's meant to be.
And then I'd be
That's
like,
quite,
did you know?
Yeah,
this, and then that's
yeah,
cool. I like that.
yeah. It's fun. It's a brain workout as well. It's fun.
All right, last one. What's something you've unlearned recently that felt freeing?
That I so the whole just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So that's applied to teaching. Just because I could teach didn't didn't mean that I should have carried on for that long. Um, and that's kind of from a more personal sense. That kind of hoping it's around hoping other people will change, I think. My my peace and happiness has to depend on me, not on other people. I think that's the key lesson I've been learning recently.
Yeah, we don't love ourselves enough, you know. Like it's a hard thing to learn, and
Mm.
hopefully this helps. And thank you again for coming on the show. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. It's been really nice. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Before you go, I've got a couple of things you do not want to miss. First, if you enjoyed this conversation like I did with Suzi, you have to check out her podcast, ADHD Adventures with Suzi Payton. I recently had the privilege of being a guest on her show. And let's just say we went deep. We laughed and we definitely got real. So go give that a listen. It's packed with insight and heart. Second, if starting conversation or even eye contact feels like pulling teeth, I created something just for you. It's a short but powerful video called Master the Moment, becoming magnetic in every introduction. This is exactly what I wish I had when I started showing up and sharing my voice. Whether you're networking, interviewing, or just trying not to feel awkward at a social event, this tool will shift the way you show up fast. You can grab that at youradhdguy.com. All the links will be in the show notes, as always. So remember, you don't need to change who you are. You just need the right tools to amplify what's already there. And thank you for being here. And as always, subscribe and may the source be with you.